Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday, the 14th of September. Looking at the euro dollar, and well, yesterday we saw the sell off bigger than I expected actually, as it came back to the monthly pivot, just dipping below through the Asian session there a little bit. So, where to today? Well, more the same, judging by some of the signals we're seeing here. It's eventually broken this trend line I've drawn on here. It's closed and broken and closed below that trend line. Now, whether we can see some more is the point. There is a bit of hidden divergence sort of sitting between the previous two lows. Whether that holds up or we continue to sell off, we'll see. But there is a potential for slight bounce. Certainly, I say slight bounce, maybe a more significant bounce. We'll have to watch. We certainly expect some sort of bounce with the daily pivot being above us. At the moment, sitting there towards 1918. It's just sitting here in this consolidated phase here. It may just not go back up to there, but a break of that 34 may see us move at least partially towards the pivot on a bit of a retrace. Right, just looking at some minor divergences through the lows here as well. So, but the very fact that it's just consolidating may see it selling off towards the S1. If it runs off to the S1, well, I'd be just keeping an eye on it, but just expecting it to continue really to the downside. Okay, just changing time frames there. Sorry, looking at the hourly point of view, there's 21s in front of us as well, so that may just provide some resistance on the way back to that daily pivot. But daily pivot, if it gets there, personally, I'd probably be looking at shorting. If it fails, well, I'll be trying to join the party on the way down. Pound dollar. Well, the pound's moved back to its regression average here, or back to almost touching it. Slight bit of weakness. Obviously, we've got the 12 o'clock news. We've got the official bank rate coming out at 12 o'clock, monetary policy statement, the votes, etc. So we'll see what comes of that. There was this sort of bullishness leading up till yesterday before we saw the wage inflation. But we may still get some hawkish comments coming out in the statement. There is no speaker, so generally when there's no speakers, we don't expect much in the way of interest rate increases, and it's not an expected interest rate increase, but you never know. It'd be quite a shocker if it did, and I think the pound would fly up, but still untouched weekly pivot below, so any negative comments, it could just continue through and run down towards that sort of zone. Elsewhere, just through as we're running through it, there's not a lot else there to say. There is the daily pivot just above. If we get back up and break the 21s, that would be a certain target, but just have to trade carefully today. At the moment, the way this is just consolidating is try to have a little pitch up. It looks like it's more likely to continue to sell off than rally. Right, dollar yen. So yesterday saw a continuation of the upside. The speed of the movement, as you can see by the size of the bars, is reducing a little bit here, running into the daily 50. Maybe due a bit of a retrace as we've seen such a strong move up there as the risk is back on and traders are not really too concerned at the moment. It would suggest about problems for North Korea, and it's as I say, just consolidating here on 60 minutes, almost back to the daily pivot. Break of the sort of short-term trend line I could draw across the highs there may see us push up further. Yesterday was quite, as I said, it was a much smaller day there. The pivots today are quite pinched, quite easy to run up and hit the R1. A break of that daily pivot and 34 would see me probably selling off, but the risk of selling is it may find support right into the 50 there, so maybe one worth watching today rather than trading. Okay, Aussie dollar. So that too continued its sell-off over the last couple of days, heading back south towards the monthly pivot, maybe the 50 MA, daily 50. Um, very choppy on the 4-hourly, not really telling me too much more than what I can see on the dailies. And then we got this sort of price action kick in here, slightly higher low that had come through over the Asian session. Unemployment figures were slightly better than expected. More employment created, but that's gradually rolling back at the moment. Really a tough old amounts of moving averages to push through there. If it starts pushing up, it's got quite a bit of resistance, but if you can break that level, well, we could be on for the R1, maybe the previous day's highs there, if we start seeing a turnaround here. Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar eventually got back towards its weekly pivot yesterday. Very slow movement to the upside, and always the risk of it's easier for it to sell off, it would seem, at the moment than rally, but it did move up yesterday in the end, pushing up, hitting that weekly pivot. Where it's sitting at the moment, well, higher lows, higher highs, it does look a bit bullish. So intermediate time, well, we could be pushing back if we get any sort of solid moves today, pushing back towards yesterday's highs. Maybe that hourly 200 would be a reasonable point. However, any sell-off, break of the trend line that's running across the lows from these 2 points here from yesterday through to the early morning session there, or maybe just wait till it breaks the 50. Could see us coming back to test yesterday's lows there. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. News-wise today, as I said, the pound has got the significant news, although we've got inflation coming out in the US at 1:30, so we've got inflation data at 1:30, and that's pretty much it. We've got a speaker at 4:30. The German BoE president is speaking at 4:30. Normally creates a bit of volatility. Okay, that's it. Have a great day. Bye for now.